Hi, this is Andrea. I am the mother to a beautiful autistic daughter, and I believe in a better future for her and all other neurodivergent young people. So I hope this is not your first time listening, but if it is, I'm also one of the many parent advocates for neurodiversity in Oxfordshire, UK. Being an advocate allows me to use my voice for my daughter, for other parents, for neurodivergent individuals themselves, and for professionals. Welcome to Season 2 of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. I had planned to start Season 2 of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast with a guest episode, which will still come next week on the 7th of September with Darren. However, I started thinking that I don't speak to all of you for such a long time. It's been over a month. And in Season 2, we will switch the solo episodes to the Diaries of an Autism Mum episodes. So why not start Season 2 with one of these Diaries of an Autism Mum, especially because we've all just been through the summer holidays. And based on what I hear from other parents, it is that time that I hear everyone dreading about these days. So I wanted to share with all of you our experience of the summer holidays of 2024. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. So even the little one is now asking for school. Do you also have the feeling that the time doesn't seem to go so quickly during school summer holidays, but at the same time, it does go so quickly that you feel like the kids had summer holiday, but you didn't manage to rest at all? I guess you do, because that's exactly how I feel. Well, the good news is that there are only a few days left now, and very soon life should go back to normal. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. I've been feeling low, completely out of my routine. No time to exercise in the morning, and therefore the mood to exercise later in the day is absolutely gone. And this is something I learned about myself. If I don't exercise, my energy levels are very low, and it does affect my mental health. And even though I have support from my family and my daughter's dad with childcare, there are a couple of days that I need to work from home while looking after the little miss, which cannot be just keeping an eye on her, because in a few seconds I might have a full tube of toothpaste put down the sink, or a full toilet paper roll inside the toilet. But hey, it could be worse. The toothpaste could be going down the walls, and it's not. Also, making sure she eats a proper meal and not just bread, Jaffa cakes, and crisps, which are safe foods. As I'm not a massive fan of cooking, it always requires some time to cook for her. And it requires even more time to encourage her to eat. And then she's quite moody with regards to foods. She loves strawberries, but I offer strawberries to her one day and she eats them very well. The following day, you offer her strawberries and she throws the whole bowl of strawberries on the floor. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. All my days. So supervision at all times is a must. And focusing at work while focusing on supervising her can be quite challenging. And it's August, but work has just been so busy with meetings after meetings and actions following the meetings. But we survived. Going away for a week was amazing, especially for her. From the flight and her love for airplanes, showing off her knowledge in single words with the names of the parts, such as engine, turbines, wings, to being by the sea. Seeing all her steaming while in water was more than enough to make the holidays a great time. We took her to the medieval fair, which we also did last year, and resulted in a massive meltdown. So this year we learned a lesson, because last year we went on a Sunday, and even though it's an open air space, it was crowded and a very hot day. She hadn't eaten much that day, and the food available on there was not of her taste. So it was all too overwhelming. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. This year we went on a Monday, early evening, and we decided to join her amazing godparents and their daughter in the Magic Forest Theatre session. Having her sitting down quietly for long periods of time without anything of her interests can be quite a challenge. But surprisingly, people acting dressed in trees, wizards, and mermaids capture her attention, and she sat down beautifully, steaming and smiling throughout most of the play. And in the end, she wanted to join them on stage, which was quite cute to see. My daughter can be an absolute Pandora box. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. But then she caught a stomach bug, and the whole happiness, sunshiny mood changed to concern for her not eating, not being playful, and just wanted to rest in bed and in the sofa. Eventually, the stomach bug traveled to some of us too. Does it feel like I had a holiday? Barely. 2 weeks in, still feeling the effects. But in a few days, life will go back to normal, and that keeps me going. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. And I feel somewhat guilty that I didn't spend enough quality time with her. My hope is that I can recover all the lost time next week, as I am on annual leave again. And we have some nice play days booked to do with the Oxfordshire Autistic Society, including camping. It will be her first time, so fingers crossed it will go well. Now it's time to think about the next academic year, which normally entails a change of teacher, change of classroom. Thankfully, it doesn't entail a change of school as of yet for us. But I know that for some of you, that will be the case. And I cannot even imagine all the anxiety that you might be feeling, asking yourself if they will be okay with the changes, if the new teaching staff will be as supportive or just supportive. It might even be the transition from primary to secondary school, which is a massive change. It is undoubtedly a roller coaster of emotions that we cannot control. And sometimes I wish that our brains had a blocking function to stop us from thinking about what is happening tomorrow and let us fully focus on today. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. Looking forward to the future can be as motivating as it can be scary and cause unnecessary anxiety. My message to you is that it's okay to feel overwhelmed, to feel different emotions in the different stages of our lives. Feel, because one feeling leads to another. I hope you have watched Inside Out 2. I have learned with the first one, but even more with the second one, which brings me to another objective achieved. She stayed inside the cinema for the whole movie for the first time. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. And I'm not bragging about my daughter. On the contrary, I am sharing with you all her achievements with pride, because they might seem very small achievements, but to me, they are huge. And that's the beauty of being a mother to an autistic child. I hope you know that you are not alone. Always feel free to leave a comment or reach out to me by email at neurodiversevoices@outlook.com. To end this episode, I will be sharing some exciting news. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. I am thrilled to announce the new Grab a Cuppa and Chat sessions for parents and carers of neurodivergent children starting from 20th of September. They will happen once per month on a Friday at Beans and Blends at Peachcroft Centre in Abbey in the North. I know it takes some bravery to come out there, but please be assured that we are there to support you without any judgment. If you want to come, sit and just have a listen, it's also absolutely fine. I'd ask you to register so that I have an approximate idea of how many of us will attend and let Beans and Blends know. The form link is available on Instagram and Facebook for you to register. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on social media or by email. Feel free to spread the word around Oxfordshire, and I look forward to seeing you on one of them. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. And this was the first ever diary of an autism mum. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. Your support is truly valued. I hope to have you on that side next week for the episode with my guest, Darren, youth chair and lead of the Send Rugby sessions at Gosford All Blacks. It will be a very interesting episode. It will tell us all about the Send sessions, how it all started and how it developed until today. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. Remember to subscribe to be alerted of new episodes of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast and follow on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Neurodiverse Voices podcast. Finally, I leave you with a thought. Embracing neurodiversity today opens the door to a brighter, more inclusive future for everyone. Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.